Hey there, welcome back to Total Geek Live Baltimore Presents. I'm Baltimore, and today I am bringing you Return of Wolverine. It's a 5-issue miniseries that was basically bringing back Wolverine from the dead. So this is the third part of the whole Wolverine, saga, basically. Death of Wolverine, Hunt for Wolverine, and Return of Wolverine. And I think it set up some interesting concepts. Charles Soule was the architect of his death, Wolverine's death, and he basically, I am appreciative that he able to actually see it all the way through, death, the search for him, and the actual resurrection of Wolverine. And I think the miniseries was pretty interesting. I thought it set up some interesting concepts, even though I didn't truly care for them. So that was, kind of a miss for me. My big complaint about the whole thing is the death of Wolverine. Okay, he's gonna die, and you never felt without Wolverine in the MC, in the Marvel Comics. You had his clone Laura taking over his mantle, which I really liked and appreciated. I thought that was a great move forward for her. But then they brought in Old Man Logan, so it was basically, oh, we lost the real Wolverine, but here's Old Man Logan, and he's same function, claws, killer, attacking everybody, and from the future Logan, and it just kind of muddled the fact that they should be really without that character. And so I thought that was a big loss. Maybe it was a marketing money situation, but I just thought it was really poor way to make the impact felt. So then, basically, Wolverine was suffocated in his adamantium. He somehow survived because this is, James Howlett, Logan, Wolverine. He can do that. Basically, the person who brought him back to death is a new villain, which is exciting. I hope we get to see a little bit more from her. There's a whole bunch of setup, and I really would be disappointed if this is just kind of a one-off villain. So the villain's name is Persephone, which is actually a pretty interesting character. She has the ability to bring back people from the dead, but under her thrall. So she brings back Wolverine from the dead, and he is indebted to her. He is serving her. He doesn't have his memories of his past life. He has some flashes, of his former lives, whether it was as an X-Man, as a Weapon X character, as someone from the war, but he doesn't have his memories really of the X-Men time period. So that made him easy to control and to use as her personal weapon, which was her whole thing. She set up an organization called Sotiera, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is this basically, evil organization who has its hands in all the pies, sort of like AIM and Hydra and all that kind of stuff. And the concept was she was going to control Wolverine, and he was going to be her, hitman, assassin for whatever she wanted. And she starts out pretty powerful and pretty impressive. She takes down the X-Men with just like that, just with the threat of killing other mutants, and gets them to step down, because if they're on her trail, that means they're close to finding Wolverine, and she doesn't want that. So he has been brought back, and he has his claws back, but now they are hot claws, which makes zero sense, and have been mostly forgotten as he's been returned, which is, thank goodness, because they were just kind of nonsensical and doesn't make sense. Like, okay, they're burning. Aren't they burning his entire hands the entire time? And it was just kind of an unnecessary add-on. It was superfluous, and it's kind of like, really? So he attacks the X-Men. The X-Men attack him and try to get him back with a team up of Jean Grey, Kitty, Iceman, Storm, and Nightcrawler. Some of his most close known teammates. And they were pretty easily decimated by him. He soundly defeats them, and they decide that he can't attack him right now. They can't save him because he's too far gone at the moment. They have to retreat, let him deal with what is going on. And this sort of starts getting his memories flooding back, which is a constant thing with Wolverine. Doesn't know his memories are real, lost all these memories. What's the truth? What's lie? What's lying? What's his real reality? So he starts getting more glimpses now, and interestingly enough, in the art, you have versions of him throughout his life. Patch from Madripoor, from Weapon X, from X-Men, and they all kind of help him along, trying to open up his memories. They're jailed, celled up memories, versions of himself. So it's kind of an interesting concept to kind of see that be fulfilled and be kind of a thing for him. And so he basically realizes what's going on. He goes to the island and tries to stop Persephone, but she is always one step ahead of him. She's actually not on the island. The island is controlled by her, and she's all set everything up from the beginning. It's fail safes and plans within plans within plans, so that she can maintain her control and her dominance over Wolverine and the world and so forth. So she's not even on the island that they're on. She's in a space station. So Wolverine, being Wolverine and not letting a fight go without fighting it, heads up to the space station, finds Persephone, and basically has this full-out brawl with her. And in the end, it kind of felt a little one-dimensional. You don't really get a lot of depth from Persephone, and I was kind of missing that. I thought they're setting up for a mystery, but then they don't really deliver it. Whether they're going to follow up on it, I hope. We'll see. But the whole return was just kind of very muddled because yeah, he's returning, but we've already had Old Man Logan. So already had Wolverine, basically. And when he comes back, everyone's like, oh, hey, what's up? There's no weight to his death anymore. And in comics, that's a very valid, claim. Everyone comes back from the dead. Everybody's resurrected. Everybody's reborn, whatever the situation is. And always, it's a matter of time. So the real story becomes how they return. And this one I just felt kind of missed the mark. It's interesting that, Persephone is the one that brought him back to life in her thrall. But beyond that, it's just a weird plot device to just get him back. And then they don't really do anything with it. The mystery of where is Logan, where's Wolverine? You had them all kind of like, all the comics at the time kind of telling one little page excerpts about where he is. And you had to find him next. And that's interesting, except for it didn't really matter. He was kind of everywhere, as always. And where did he show up? Why was he here? Why wasn't he involved in this? What was his reasoning for being over here? Don't really go into it. They just kind of put him there, and, feels very blasé about it, which is very disappointing, because if you're having the return, it has to be important. And the repercussions need to happen. And at this time, the X-Men were going through Disassembled, so they were already involved in that storyline. He wasn't a part of it, so he just never showed up. Then you have these two other miniseries that came out, Long Night, which is kind of like a prequel, when he was already alive, kind of a story. And then you have Wolverine Infinity Watch, which kind of muddies the water a little bit more, because it's a time travel tale with Loki and Wolverine with the Time Stone, and you have a very far-flung Phoenix Wolverine from the future coming in to kind of mess with everything as well. And so it's this weird kind of, when does this story take place? Because it kind of says that it takes place right before he meets the actual X-Men, but there was already another story that, the end of this miniseries, Return of X-Men, Return of Wolverine, has him knocking on the door and saying hello to Jean. And, that moment should be have more weight and meaning. She's been dead for however long. He was dead. She came back alive. He was dead. So their meeting should be a lot more fraught with all these emotions. Her husband, Scott, has been killed. So just a very missed opportunity. He just, hey, Red, and that's it. And then there's no follow-up. And it's such a wasted opportunity. Like, Wha- So it's a very, frustrating kind of story. The return itself, the concept, the conceit, interesting, sure, but it's just kind of felt unimportant. And if you're bringing someone back who's that important, it should feel that way. And the next time he appears, it's with Cyclops, who's been resurrected himself, and it's in that 12, 15 issue Uncanny X-Men run by Rosenberg, um, and they're kind of telling the last X-Men story, um, which is its own kind of thing. But I wanted to like this a lot more than I did. I wanted it to be a lot more impactful than it was. The art was really great. I really appreciated that. I thought there was great kind of marketing and hype around it, but it did not live up to it. And that's something kind of unfortunate with some of these Marvel mini events and mini series. They just don't follow through. They don't live up to what you want them to be. But what do you think about Return of Wolverine? Are you glad he's home? He's back? Did it kind of work for you? What did you feel about Persephone? Was she a good villain? You think she's coming back? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share. And I'll be back again with some more Marvel goodness for you. And as always, it's all geek to us. See ya.